All right, everybody, welcome back to the Madcore Hunter podcast. Danny's not with us this week, but we're very fortunate to have a special guest. We got my buddy Ryan Jonas, who, we kind of struck a friendship up at a Friendsgiving just through. Um, he was doing Ironman training or had done Ironman. I did a half, and
Mm.
talking about that and just our lifestyle with that, but really probably our faith and our relationship with the Lord has really um, kept us going. And we do a Bible study and such, but he's got a really neat, I would say, outdoor um, things he's done and such. So I thought he would be a good guest. Hope you guys enjoy, and just wanted to kind of give a little intro, but not go through too much. He's kind of local here, has done a lot of things from Colorado, so.
Yeah.
Ryan, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man. Been excited to get into this and yeah, be invited on the podcast.
No, yeah, and, so I'm gonna be a little bit selfish with this podcast because you drop seeds, kinda in our Bible studies and such, and I'm interested in, just some things that you've dropped, so I'm gonna,
Yeah, man.
hopefully the listeners will enjoy, but I guess we'll start out here. Um, you're from Colorado, so you were born and raised kinda in
Yep.
Colorado?
Yeah. Family's been there for generations, and yeah, I've lived there my whole life up until was it January last year, 2026, that moved out here to like southeastern Indiana area. Wife's from this area, and we've been married for a few years and living in Colorado, and kind of want to change scenery and Lord led us to southeastern Indiana. But yeah, born and raised, all my family still lives out in Colorado, and yeah, it's a cool place. If no one's ever been,
Yeah.
it's if you want like doing anything outdoors, you can do it there. And I think most people say that, or even research has done that's anything you want to do outdoors, or like hunting, fishing, mountain biking, rock climbing, they have it at its peak almost. So
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, obviously Danny was from here and then he moved out to Wyoming. And then
mhm.
his cousin Zach, he moved to Colorado. But as far as having somebody, born and raised is kind of neat. So just kind of go through and you haven't been back here real long. Obviously, I know like the climate's such different, but like
Yeah.
how was it? How was it, I guess, growing up out there? Because, like, when I go out west, like, I'll see these ranches such, I'm like, "How do these kids get to school and such," you know? So, was it a small town? I don't even know. Was it close to Denver? Um,
Yeah.
Kinda walk me
Yeah.
through that a little bit.
Yeah, so where I grew up, if that's kind of where you're asking, it's just like a southeast Denver, kind of in the suburbs there. Wasn't anything, I guess, too special. I mean, I would say it's small town. Say living here is getting used to small town feel, but I mean, it's just right there in the foothills. So, I mean, growing up, going up snow skiing, and one big thing like my dad and I would do was we would go fly fishing, and I mean, started off just having a tent, but then my dad was like, "You know what? I think I've done kind of tenting it out for a while. We got to pop up and kind of live the luxurious life and pull up next to rivers and spend a weekend, spend a week, and just go fish to any of the many rivers out in Colorado." And so doing a lot of that, camping trips growing up. I mean, with like the whole family, it was just any excuse you had to get outdoors. We made it, which you didn't really have to make that big of an excuse there.
So, did you play sports, or was it pretty much always outdoor hiking, fly
Oh, yeah.
fishing type?
No, yeah, so I played soccer. That's a majority of my life. I played competitive up until like middle school time, and then started playing lacrosse, which is another kind of bigger sport out there. Played that through high school, and
Okay.
then
So
yeah,
that's
along
something
with
I didn't know. You're always
yeah,
dropping stuff.
yeah. And I guess, and I mean, you guys are closer to the East Coast, which kind of helps you with the lacrosse point. But yeah, I just a lot of people are more surprised on it, just that sport. They just really don't know much about it. And in Colorado, it blew up for whatever reason, and it was fun. It was a cool sport. I had one of my buddies introduced that to me, and yeah, I loved playing it. But yeah, pretty much yeah, I played soccer and lacrosse up and through high school, and then and going up to Colorado State University, and never just went there for school. Played some intramural sports from there.
Okay.
Mhm.
Right on. Okay. I was wondering that. So getting back to the fly fishing and such. So I guess like, man, I played baseball, did the travel, this and that, ended up going to college, very blessed for that. But my passion has always been hunting. I would get mad if we had, because we had fall ball and such, and if we
Yeah.
had Saturday, because I wanted to get back and hunt. So, would you say like fishing is that passion, like fly fishing or hiking? What do you
I don't know.
think?
I mean,
Since you
it's
kind
always
of
been like,
started out doing all that.
um, like, I mean, I've always had fly fishing. Like I said, it was something like my dad and I did growing up, and that was like how we spent time together. And I feel like it was only up until it was probably 2016 or something like that. I was working out at a dude ranch, and I always had like a fly fishing background, but then had a guy I was working at a dude ranch, and they had a whole fly fishing program, and the head fly fishing guide there took me under his wing and was like, "Hey, why don't you go, take some of these guide trips with me, and you can kind of help out." And then I started being a fly fishing guide kind of from there on, and from about I'd say 2016 to it was like 2024. So I was a fly fishing guide kind of all throughout there. And ended up running their program at that dude ranch, and yeah, it was kind of my
Was
life
that
there. So
after college or during?
yeah, that was after
Was that
college.
during college? After
It,
college? I say you're a
yeah.
little bit older than me.
Hmm.
Really? So I guess let's go into depth with that. I've never, I've been on fishing guide trips. Like what do you do when it comes to fly fishing? Like do you guys go in horseback, anything like that?
That'd be
Uh
cool. I've always
I
wanted
guess
to,
walk us through. Let's just say I was a
yeah.
go
So like,
ahead, sorry.
I always talked about at that dude ranch, it'd be fun to uh, have like a whole horseback experience where to me you're in this remote area. Be fun to have like a whole like pack trip. Never ended up kind of fruition, but out there, I mean, you're in the middle of the Pike National Forest, and you have some pretty pristine rivers out there, and so the way I was a walk wade guide, so you can have a boat guide where you could be like there's a lot of guys in Montana and some of those bigger rivers, or even in Wyoming, you'll float down the river as you're fishing, and which is a great way. It's a fun. Well, I mean, you're pretty much having a raft trip while also fishing. It's never a bad time. You can cover a lot of water and get a lot of shots at some fish there. But I was a walkway guide, which you get a little more, I guess, intimate with the river and provides a good basis for a lot of your clients, especially if they're beginners. It's a lot easier for me as like a walk weight. I can kind of really be a little more intentional with them, being like, okay, hey, this is how you cast, and like there's where you're trying to cast it to. And so we would walk in, either like hike in, or some rivers, you kind of park, and the river's pretty close there, but would pick out spots in the river and also see like what was their agenda for that day. Were they wanting to try to catch the biggest fish of their lifetime, or they're like, "Hey, man, I'm just new to this, and I just want to know how I could go be better equipped to go do this on my own down the road." And which is cool. Like fly fishing has been a cool sport as I've seen that people have started to get into recently. That it's a easy way to get outside, and you don't have to take up a whole bunch of your time. And whether it's dads are like, man, I want to just get some time, they can either like take my kids, or just get some time alone, but doesn't have to take up the whole day, and you can do it almost year round. and get you into some cool areas and get you in nature and kind of find that peace. And one thing I always like encourage my clients, I'm like, I'm not telling you you need to go fall in love with fly fishing, but find something. I'm sure like somewhat what is hunting for you, like find a hobby that you do that takes away from your normal everyday life. You're not thinking about what's going on at work. You're not thinking about, oh, I've got to, go do this. I got kids got practice. I've got to go do laundry. That what you're doing is just what you're focused in on right there. And it's kind of this recentering of sorts that, and that could be fly fishing, it could be hunting, it could be knitting, it could be whatever. But I've always felt like you should have something that and you should pursue in that way. So for me, and that's definitely been fly fishing or hunting of sorts. So
Absolutely. So,
I don't know.
what were you guys after mostly, in the rivers? What like rainbow?
Trout.
I know
Yeah.
when like in Wyoming, I got hurt one year, trout.
Hmm. Yeah. So a lot of trout would be like rainbow and brown trout, most likely. It was pretty cool. At weird, one of the rivers. So you have obviously had to have a guide license and permits to guide on certain rivers, and one of the ones I was permitted to guide on was Cheeseman Reservoir, which is a really well-known reservoir and fishery. A guy Pat Dorsey, who I mean, you look anywhere into fly fishing, his name's probably on it. It's a well-known guide. He guides on that river too, and he's got a saying that it's if you can catch a fish in Cheeseman, you can catch a fish anywhere, and it's a just a beautiful landscape, and the water's crystal clear because it's fed by the reservoir. It's a tailwater, and so water's just gin clear, and so you can end up seeing these you know 2 foot long trout in the middle of this river, and so you're doing a lot of sight fishing, which is really cool. It's not as much of a kind of blind cast and be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, hopefully something's there." It's like, like you look right there and like there's your fish. So there's a cool, I'd say like hunting aspect to it that you're not just like whimsically going wrong. You're like, okay, where is that fish? And you're like, oh, there he is. And then, working to get your flies presented to them, and then you can hopefully get hooked up, and hopefully then you
I
land
think
them.
I would like that. I do, because
Yeah.
fishing gets so boring to me, and
Uh,
I've been blessed to be on some fishing trips. I enjoy fishing. But I don't know, it gets so boring, just changing lures, just trying to figure out what they want, but if there's a
oh
little
yeah,
bit of, like you said, hunting aspect or like,
like
to me, like, I'll
intentionality.
go around the pond every now and then. Yeah, and I'll see if I can get frogs to do the same thing, like bullfrogs, which I don't you guys don't have bullfrogs out there, but here we have these huge bullfrogs, and, you'll put, like, a cricket or something on, and you'll kinda dabble
Hmm.
it in front of them, and they'll get it, and then you can hook a frog, and it doesn't hurt them. Usually, I just show the nieces and nephews and now my son, but I always like doing that. Of course, frog legs are a thing, we'll go gig frogs, but
Oh yeah.
I think, yeah, I would like that. Yeah, what's a you never frog gigged, have you? Maybe we'll have to get
No,
you
never frog
frog
gigged.
gigging.
I've never heard of anyone fishing for frogs either, but
Oh, yeah,
sounds like a
yeah.
fun time.
Yeah, that's Indiana fly fishing right there.
Hey, I mean,
No,
they
my
say the
uncle,
tug
he
gets the
he's
drug,
done
man.
some fly fishing. That's
Yeah.
right.
Whether it's
But,
frog
yeah,
or
I think
fish.
I would like that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%, man.
Um,
It's cool. Have you ever done any like offshore fishing, like any flats fishing, or like down in Florida or Louisiana? You guys kind of proximity wise, you ever done anything like that?
yeah, yeah, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess what have you
I
gone for? Was it like more
so I
blue
was really
water or
fortunate.
what?
It was deep sea, so we had some people from our
Okay.
church that, would like to have people come down. So when I was about 10, we went down there and deep sea fished, and I apologize, I can't remember a lot of things. I know I caught a snowy white grouper that was pretty
Uh,
big, and it was so deep that when he came up, his eyes were all bugged out and such, because
yeah,
the
pressure.
pressure difference.
Yep.
And then one of the better trips, I mean, it ranks right there with elk hunting is I was a senior and I wanted to kinda have like a senior trip, and we were gonna go down and visit these people again. And, you know, they were very well off, just great Christian people, and, me and my buddy, and they said, "Hey, you guys should get scuba diving certified. Do it there, and then you can either, you know, do your practical down here, there's a lot of places, but we have everything you need, like, you guys just need to show up down here." So,
Nice.
we did, you know, like, you can go to there's a place over in Kentucky called the Scuba Shack, and, did that, and then they'll take you to, like, a rock quarry, and you'll do your practical. So, we showed up scuba diving certified, and, this podcast is about me, but I'm getting winded here, but long story short, we ended up doing some spear fishing and lobstering while we were down there, and we
Oh,
also
heck
did
yeah.
some fishing too, but I was, you know, like I said, I'm more of a hunter, so the spear fishing and the lobstering
Oh,
really
yeah.
got me. Like, lobstering is basically like, I don't know, I guess for people in Indiana, like underwater frog gigging in a sense, and the spear fishing, you're just an underwater hunter, man, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, but that was the only time I got to go. Some things happened with that family, and we can't go back now. It's very unfortunate, but that was a neat
Yeah.
trip. But yeah, I've done some of that. We went out. I get seasick, so the thing about scuba diving
Yeah.
is, as soon as you get in the water, you're fine. But
Right.
we did do some night fishing and caught some fish. I can't even remember what they were, but like I said, I've been
Yeah.
very fortunate to do some fishing, but I have never fly fished, and I think I would like that. This, like you said, the sight fishing a little
Mhm.
bit more. Um,
Yeah.
I guess what's your favorite? Do you like the sight fishing or
Oh, yeah. That's some of my favorite. I mean, it is also one of those things too where I'm like, as I stated before, like sometimes I just need to get out of my own head, and it's it's like, and I have to evaluate just as I would ask my clients. I'm like, what do I need to get out of this time? Am I wanting just to hammer some fish, or am I just like, I don't really care if I even catch anything, just being like outside and being in nature and just kind of at
Mhm.
peace? It's like that's what I want. But I feel the majority of the time, if I'm going out and like I want to go out on the hunt, and even if I catch a few, I'm like, all right, let's see what kind of monsters are lurking deep in the bowels here, and try to find the alpha out of a spot and go go find him, which is it's always a fun part. And but one thing I was
You got a story like you're go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, I mean, I feel like I've caught some really cool and really nice fish in my time, and even in Colorado, there's a like Cheeseman's a great spot, and they're just known for catching not only large trout, but they're also native. Like they're not stocked like these fish. You catch a 24
Mhm.
inch rainbow. This isn't one that's just been pellet fed in some hatchery and then just plopped in the river. Is like, no, this one's been in the river system and has grown up and has become the chief of his town here, which is just it's just cool, like to have that. And there's another river called the Dream Stream. It's a little more north of where kind of Cheeseman is and just general, which is all kind of west of Colorado Springs area generally. Um, but just known for certain times of the year where you'll have fish, the trout will migrate from the reservoir into the river system to go spawn. And I mean, you can catch a fish of a lifetime, and that's always a fun time to go and go do that. And um, I mean, I feel like some of my favorite stories have been also as like guided trips too, like just experiencing things through my clients, and whether it be, I almost, as I've stated it, it's almost like I'm catching a fish for the first time if it's like their first time. And I know
Yeah.
one lady, one specific experience I guess comes to mind was it was a husband and wife, and they were a very competitive couple, and it was fun. And she, of course, it came out. She's like, okay, well, this trip's for my husband. Like show, like make sure he has good. I'm just here, just having fun. Like I don't, you don't. just set me up and then like go hang out with him. I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, like, okay, here. I'm like, let me get you, at least trained up. Like he had some fishing experience. So I could just be like, all right, hey, like you can go just start fishing this run. Let me teach your wife how to cast and then I'll come back. And I knew there was a big fish had been lurking around this boulder. And so I kind of trained her up. And then um, once I had her casting and getting like hook sets and all that, all dialed in, left, and she hooks this massive fish and she's screaming. I mean, she's just, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So walking her how to teaching her how to land this fish. And at one point, so on a fly reel, you have a spool release button that you can end up taking the whole spool off your rod. Well, at some point she had hit that button and her all of a sudden I look over and her reel is flying away from her. So then she's and had a good instinct just to grab the line and hold it there. Because at this point, she doesn't have a reel. She's just hand lining this thing now with her rod. And we end up landing this fish, and she was tickled. She was like, "Is this a good fish?" I mean, it was it was probably a 22, 23 inch, but it was like a 9 pound trout, just huge trout. And she looked over her husband, and then the whole rest of the day, she was like, "Oh, honey, it's a really cute fish that you caught there." And it was like, that's really great because I told her I was like, you probably aren't going to catch a better fish all day. Like, there's very few that
That's
catch
awesome.
even this size fish on any
Beginner's
trip.
luck.
Oh yeah, total beginner's luck. And she's come back years after year, and she's like, "Has anyone caught a bigger fish than me?" I was like, "Nope." She's like, "All right, well, minute someone catches a bigger fish, I'll come on another trip with you and retake my crown." It's like, all right, Kelly, that sounds good. But yeah,
That's
that's
awesome. So I'm not very educated when it comes to like trout fishing. So I guess you mentioned rainbow and brown. Like what's I guess what's the I don't get to put like state record, but like what's like a big one? Like I know like a lot of our listeners like walleye, like usually if you catch,
yeah.
anything over probably 26 inches, like I think I caught a 30 or 31-inch walleye. I've got it behind me. That was just a one-off crazy trip that I somehow caught a decent fish. But I guess what's a big trout or what's your
I mean,
biggest?
I think mine was I think around 26-inch brown trout. I think it's about the biggest I've caught around there, which is like really big. I mean, I've the only bigger one I've seen
Okay.
that was a buddy of mine. He was guiding a client on, caught like a 28-inch, and that was just insane. Like if you're getting into that, like breaking 30 that's where a lot of guys like Alaska guides where you can go catch massive uh, trout up in Alaska, and but to like crest that 30-inch and beyond is like you're catching a unicorn sorts. Like that one's really
Like a
really
200
big,
like
but
a
it
200-inch deer
yeah,
type deal.
exactly. So yeah, like to be, but still be in like that 2 foot range is like a really big accomplishment, and that's like sweet. But a lot of times I've
Okay.
also met people. They're like, man, I don't really care about like catching really big fish, and be like, I'd catch 100 little chicken fingers rather than like a one big fish. And I mean, someone like I've also heard like deer hunters who are like, man, yeah, like sure, I'd like to go shoot a really massive buck, but like I'm happy just like shooting a doe or two and filling the freezer, and like that's what I got. And I'm like, all right, yeah, like it's great. And then they just sit and play Candy Crush for the rest of the time sitting in the deer stand.
I guess that's my other question. I guess what's the limit? I guess were you eating these? Was that part of the guide service? Was there a way you're cooking them? Do you not? Is this like a catch and release type deal?
Yeah, it was catch and release, and so it was um, gold medal
Okay.
water was the how it was rated. There's a whole rating system, but like the ones I was guiding on, they had a gold medal standard, which in order to get the
Okay.
size of fish that you were catching in there, it all had to be catch and release. So if you were
Okay.
taking, every one that was, 60 inches bigger, eventually just you wouldn't have that kind of quality of fish. But there were some that you can that would guide on that you could keep fish, and I'd tell people like, yeah, if you want to keep a fish, that's great. I wouldn't you generally have stuff to like cook at Riverside or anything with them, but and also I mean like trout's a really bony fish. I'm not like the biggest fan of trout, and so I would like just as like a
Yeah.
personal, I don't really keep them because I'm like, well, I mean, it just doesn't taste as good. It's super bony, you know. Like if I was doing like I've done a couple alpine lake trips, like backpacked in with buddies, and you found Alpine Lake, and you pull a few trout out there, and that's a little different. Like I'll eat those, and it's great. But everything tastes better when you're camping. But yeah, for the most part, we just catch and release.
Yeah. Well, we would catch, if we get done hunting early or something out west when we elk hunt, um, excuse me, like one year I was hurt, so I just stayed back and I caught brookies. Like I'm sure you've
Yep.
caught a brookie out there or
Oh yeah.
something. They're just a
Yep.
smaller, kind of a smart
Mm-hmm.
fish, but they're pretty good eating,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we've ate
Oh yeah.
those quite a few times. But that's awesome, man. That's really neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've more enjoyed some of like I've done some flats fly fishing trips. It was just out kind of along the coast, and that's a super fun way of fishing. And going back kind of the hunting aspect of it is that whether it's I've done for some like bonefish, permit, or like reds. Went down to Texas, did some reds fishing. But I mean, you're out on a
That's what I was
flat,
gonna
and
bring up.
yeah, it's great where you have guy that's pulling, and then you're just sight fishing. I mean, you're looking for tails, you're looking for shadows, and you're kind of just seeing. You're like, all right, like where are they at, and then seeing where they're going, put in front of them, and like that's super cool because then I mean, it's the hunting, but then I mean those fish fight like crazy, and especially like a bonefish is, I mean, pound for pound, one of the strongest fish out there, man. It's like I was the first time I hooked into a bonefish. I haven't been a trout guy was, I mean, it was wild. I remember just seeing that reel sling, and the guide was like, "Get your hand away from the reel," because it's going so fast that the knob can end up like hitting your thumb and like break a finger. Like if people have been known to break fingers
Gosh.
from the reel knob, like hitting their hand, and so it's like, yeah, you just crank down your drag and just let it run, and then it's, I mean, taking in your backing and just going. You're like, this thing's just not stopping. And it was it was awesome. That was a really cool experience, and
How big are
I mean,
bonefish? I've never tried to catch either.
um, I mean, you can catch some. I mean, even some pretty small bonefish that are only, I mean, 16 inches long. I mean, will fight really, really hard. But I don't know. I know you can
Mhm.
get um some some. I think up to like 15. I think you can get some like 18 pound. Like that's like I might be speaking out of my
Okay, so they're
wheelhouse
pretty
here a
good
little
sized
bit, but I feel
fish.
like yeah, you can get up to like a 20 pound. I would say is probably like a record, like a really really big one. But I mean, you can
Okay.
still catch a 5 pound, and he would take your lunch money, man, and he'll show you a good time. It's they're super fun.
And I guess
Okay.
for the listeners, the Meat Eater Netflix show had an episode on the redfish down in Texas, I believe. That's where I
Hmm.
saw it. It's reminds me of almost like bow fishing in the day, but you
Yeah.
have a rod and
Yeah.
had a guy, and he was, I think they're elevated,
Yep.
correct? Kind of up on a
Yeah.
platform or
Yeah. So then
stand.
they'll have that long
And
pole, and they can kind of pull along, but then they get a elevated point of view to where they can spot the fish probably a little easier. And then if the person at the bow of the boat can't necessarily see it, they'll point out being like, yeah, hey, you've got, a fish 9 o'clock, 30 yards moving to your right. And then, you try to then lock in on it and be like, okay, yep, like he's there. Okay, yep, moving there. And that's, but it's kind of a fun kind of, tandem. But yeah, he's elevated, kind of uses that long pole to kind of push along. So you're not also like running a motor or something. You kind of go stealth mode, and yeah,
yeah,
it's pretty cool. And yeah, redfish are also. I mean, I think it's like October time. You get those big bull reds go through that area, and they'll they'll give you a run for your money. I've yet to get too deep into that, but I'd love to get more experience there.
Yeah, I think I would enjoy that. Our buddy, he got into fishing, and it's actually, up just one of the places, Monroe Lake up by Bloomington, and they have these things called wipers. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's a
Wipers. No,
hybrid between a white bass and a striper, and,
makes sense.
that hybrid combination, they really fight. They say lightning at the end of the rod, and he, like, had a brand new rod when we went and we caught a couple, they're hard to catch,
Hmm.
and it broke the rod. Like,
Oh no.
so they do fight and yeah. Oh, yeah. They like, I think they're kinda known for that. So that was kinda, I guess,
Dang.
not as, probably not like a bonefish or anything, but kinda local here. I think
Oh,
that's a pretty
that's
good
real cool.
fight, they say, but they're tough to catch. Like, you catch 2 or
Right.
3, you're doing good.
It's like a carp. There's a so the South Platte River, which is pretty much all of like what I would guide on, but it'll go all the way through downtown Denver. And there's a whole like urban fly fishing scene in downtown Denver where you can catch what they call these carp or like a poor man's bonefish because they'll they'll give you a run for your money, man. Like they'll take you way
Yeah.
downstream, take you upstream, but they're super hard to catch. And it's not like it's just like this super dumb fish. Like they're really hard to catch. The takes are really light, but you're also doing it in this like city landscape where you might have like some homeless man with a shopping cart sitting next to you as you're like hooking into this big massive carp. Like it's just not the like
Yeah, like the
pristine.
fishing se
Yeah, like this scene that you're thinking of, like a river runs through it, and you're like, "Wow, like look at this beautiful area." It's like, nah, man, you got skyscrapers and like there's yeah, some homeless guy just taking a nap on this park bench next to you.
I knew you were a River Runs Through It fan. Brad
I mean,
was, the
you
Brad
gotta,
Pitt and
it, yeah, Brad
yeah,
Pitt. You know, it's
that is
you
a good
just have
movie.
to, just comes with the
Yeah.
territory.
No, right on, man.
Yep.
What else in Colorado? Because obviously you're probably still getting used to being here in Indiana. I guess we're probably boring, but what else? You did fly fishing. I do wanna let's cover this because I've not even asked you this myself. You said you're a wrangler.
Yeah,
What's going on there?
yeah. So it was it's a time I was worked at this dude ranch called it was Lost Valley Ranch. It's in the middle of the Pike National Forest, and they've got like 500, 600 some acres within the Pike National Forest. And so you'd, and they, what a dude ranch is for people maybe aren't aware of. It's a place where we always just say like city slickers can come in and we'd show them, teach them how to ride horses. We'd go square dancing, line dancing, and we'd have campfires and good meals. And you could go hiking. We'd have trap shooting, and I mean, kind of just outdoor time, and it's cool just being in the middle of Pike National Forest. And so yeah, I worked out there for a number of years and wore I'd say many hats. Was a first my first job out there was actually a cook, and it was something just in my time of life where I was needing I'd done some college and really had no idea what I wanted to do, and then I applied to work out there and got a job just as a cook, and then um, got moved into their corral program and was a cowboy. You know, got the custom hat, got the spurs, got the had the saddle, sold the saddle. But yeah, I mean, rode 2 times a day for you know 4 hours each ride, and it was just did that for 6 days a week, and I was did the let's say the cowboy and the wrangling for about like 2 years. It was a cool gig, man.
Had you ever ridden before that? Like, do you have any backgrounds with that?
Yeah, so how I'd known of that ranch was my mom's parents. They would take us out there every summer. It was a cool just blessing to go be able to do that, um and something that brought that side of the family just closer together of like spending a whole week out there as a family. And it's a unique place too because where I mean, you kinda experience it out here where, I mean, kids can just go run free, when you it's like, it's not really like they're gonna go anywhere, and, parents on unlike a maybe like a cruise vacation, if they're with their kids, they kinda have a corner of their eye looking for their kids, where they at, and, at Lost Valley, they can go and times they'll be like, "All right, hey, like, little Jimmy's playing out in the creek, or he's gonna go on the play set and just be hanging." And you're like, "All right, cool, fine." Like, and they have the kids have like their own riding program with kids their age, and will go ride horses and go on little adventures and go do that for the day. And the parents are like, "Cool." So like now I just get the like whole day to go do whatever. So long story short, yeah, that's where I learned to ride and would do that. Um, and so I had some experience, but it's riding every day definitely gives you a lot more in just like ability and experience, and it was cool. Got a lot to do, a lot of fun things.
Did did they have cattle or anything, or was this you kinda just
Hmm.
showing people how to ride and taking them on trails, or how did you have to
Yeah.
break any broncs?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we did have cattle. They have a whole cattle program out there, and it was actually the part of because we'd be able to ride on the Park Service National Forest land, and some of that permitting was due to the fact if we could run cattle through some of that area, because then we had to keep them in certain zones over a certain period of time, so they wouldn't just completely decimate an area, but they would at least clear out some of the foliage, some of the stuff, and then fertilize, churn up the soil, and then we move them. And that was something that during a week stay for the guests that you can choose if you wanted to go, move the cattle, which is, I mean, I always joke, we're like, "Ah, you guys are paying to come here and, like do a rancher's job, like come out and push these cows, and they're loud, and, they're stubborn. You're trying to like move them through this area, and one might dart off and you have to go chase them down." And it's a fun thing. And so, yeah, we'd have cattle, and um, we'd run them out there, but only for a certain amount of months, and then they'd winter at another property, another site they had down there, and then they also have their own breeding program, horse breeding program, and so all the horses that they have, which are 100 some plus out there, were like a majority of them were through a whole breeding program. So it's like they'd come up, and then by the time they're 3 years old, you'd have to break them, train them, and a lot of the horses that the Wranglers rode were some of the more feral horses. And by the
Yeah.
time they got to a certain age, generally around like 6 years old, and they're a little more well tuned with the program, is kind of when we'd turn them over to the guest program. And then they'd go through the guest program, and then eventually you'd have horses who are like 30 years old. And there are our little lead around horse that if you had a little kid that just they just walk around the just a little property space area, but they can just like sit on the horse. I mean, this horse, yeah, 30 years old, just like derpy walking around. And but that was cool. So I was fortunate enough to get a get a horse of my own and teach him everything he knew. And he gave me a real hard time,
I'm
bucked me
sure
off
you
for
got
he's bucked me off a
got
few
bucked
times,
off a
and
time or
just yeah,
2.
oh yeah, oh yeah. There's plenty of times where I ended up on the ground and just also late hours just training, and just being like, all right, hey, like we're trying to get this lesson through, and it's getting dark. I'm hungry, and but I'm like, we gotta end on a good note here. Of like, this is like we can't let him win, And once he had kind of learned his lesson, and he would kind of do whatever I was wanting him to do and asking of him, and when he'd kind of submit to that, that was great. And then be like, all right, be done for the day. But it was fun,
It's
man.
like
It was
that,
definitely a unique experience.
it's like that TikTok, man, this guy's on the ground, they said, "Can you ride?" He's like, "Heck yeah, I can ride. I was riding when I fell off." We
Yeah,
just got a, yeah, I think it's like a TikTok or something, but yeah,
yeah.
we got another mule that, it's not like, real green, but, maybe we'll just have you come out and we have
Yeah.
mules, so I don't know if did they have any
Yeah.
mules out there? I guess you present
No,
did they?
we had a burro, for a time. That was just kind of a I don't know, just like one of the things we had. We didn't really ride them. We would do a call like a Wrangler rodeo. It's not like we were like busting broncs or anything like that, but we'd sometimes do some skits out there. People do skits out there and like ride the little burro around. But I mean, no, I don't have much experience with mules.
No bull riding? Any bull riding out there?
No, I've known some friends who have done some of that, and it didn't end well. And so yeah, I quickly was like, you know what? No, it doesn't quite appeal to me. I like all my limbs and all my bones where they're at currently. So
I agree. I'm with you. So, man, that must have been tough to leave. What was the driving factor? I
um,
mean, maybe, just it's out there. Was it kinda seasonal? Was it year round?
it
Um,
was It was seasonal, so they operate out of pretty much the spring, summer, and fall, and they'll close down in the winter time. But some of the long-term staff, you'd have a skeleton crew that would kind of hang back, and they attend to the horses and maintain the facilities. Because I mean, they're a fully functioning city out there, so you'd have to have someone kinda make sure the lights are on and everything's running alright.
okay.
But for the most part, it's seasonal, and a lot of the driving factor of leaving is it's an amazing place, man. I can't talk enough about it. I mean, not only was it a cool experience, but uh, just a place for where I was at, my time of life, and the people I met out there. Not only the guests, but the people I worked alongside with were just incredible and really helped me shape me into the man I am today. And I was kind of came in as a lost soul and was needing a lot of guidance, and it provided a place and a space to kind of center myself. And it was such a blessing. It just took away a lot of the just simplicities of the world. Like, I mean, you had rent was taken care of, and it was just part of your. They just take. I mean, like it was like $100 out of your paycheck. Something. It wasn't anything. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it wasn't much. Like you'd had. I mean, fine dining, like meals made for you, prepared for you, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you had a lot of these little worries just taken care of, and you're also just excommunicated from society. I mean, they had no cell service there. They had Wi-Fi, but I mean, it was just easy way just to not have your phone on you on time. There's really no point in having your phone on you on all the time. It's actually where I started wearing a watch because it was like, oh, what time is it? I was like, oh, just actually look at my watch because it's like I didn't really have my phone on me all the time.
Yeah.
No point. And so it was cool to then have that, as I said, is kind of figure out who's Ryan Jonas and who's the man that I am and what's kind of shaped me up until this point in my life, and also kind of open up some of the closets and pulling out the skeletons there, and um, just kind of learning. And it's just something I was really good at avoiding, is just not kind of open up that side of me, and it was so just a great place to do that. So learned a lot there, and like ultimately like leaving, it was I don't know, it's not wasn't necessarily like a destination for me, I guess, for like a career. Like it was a beautiful place, and I mean it's always holds a special place in my heart for so many reasons. But it wasn't like a career end goal. And a lot of people that go through there, work there, aren't necessarily like career people there, which is kind of it's a cool part of their mission and vision of like they have this beautiful. And I mean, you read up on any of it, it's the service and the way people come in and you just are just
Mhm.
loved. And so much of the mission and vision of that place is like, hey, we just want to love people as Christ loved us, and that's that's the
So it's kinda
just number one.
faith-based, I guess?
Yeah, and it's not something that they project at all. It's like, hey, you know what? We're a dude ranch. Like we're not sitting here and we got just like Christ plastered all over the walls, and it's something that is just visually super apparent. But as I've experienced, is that it becomes more evident as people spend their time through the week, through their just time visiting, that it's different. And it's just, they ask me like, why, why? And like, why are you helping me? Like, you don't need to be helping me with this. Like, this is not even your job. But then you went out of your way to come see my need and then help me with that. And that's a lot of it's like, well, this is my more of my ultimate vision for life. And then I think like the first time we ever, as like an organization, that kind of say like, yeah, hey, this is, some of us was on a Wednesday night, kind of halfway through a summer week. They would go down to the jail. It's just a little facade. We do, cookouts and burgers, brats, and put on some silly skits and whatnot. But we end the show with singing "How Great Thou Art," and it's just this kind of little kind of cherry of like, yeah, hey, like you spent this time with us, and like here's just this little bit of who we are, and well, why we might do the things the way we do. And like, if you want to talk about that, it's great. That isn't necessarily your cup of tea. Like, that's fine. That's not going to change the way that we're loving and taking care of you. So, um, yeah, that's some of
Absolutely.
that. So,
So obviously our relationship's kind of been, revolved around, Christ. We've been, doing a study and this and that, and obviously we have a lot of same interests with the outdoors. And
sure.
I would say this place, from the sound of it, definitely strengthened your relationship with Christ. Is this kind of where you found Christ, or were you raised kind of in the faith? Talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to be born to a good Christian family, and I know it's something my wife is. It was shocked her net like meeting my family of like, it's like, it's crazy to see that everyone in your family is not only just like a believer, but like a strong believer, and has like
Yeah.
this beautiful faith. And we pray before every meal, and it's just something that very blessed to be around. But that, even having that as like my baseline, and I went to a Christian elementary and middle school growing up, and then went to a public high school, and a little bit during that time had some uh, just some personal stuff, some demons. I don't know if they have to roll through in the podcast, but that I was just dealing with. And I'd say it kind of, it was a testing of my faith. And from that, I then was like, all right, what does my faith mean for me? And I'd say that was where I learned, being at Lost Valley. I was like, okay, well, I've had this in my family, but that, like, my family isn't my faith. Like, so what does that actually mean for me? And then how do I live that each day? And that was kind of I'd say more of the like defining time of my faith, and has then kind of, set me on the trajectory that I am now. So, mm,
That's awesome, man. No,
yeah,
you're definitely filled with the Holy Spirit, and um, it's been great. Our studies. I feel like I've learned a lot from you myself. But that's
yeah,
awesome, man. What a neat
yeah.
experience. Like, we don't really have that here. I mean, like, they have, like, I don't know how to explain. Like, they have pumpkin patches and stuff. Like, there's no, like, just ranch. At least that I can think
Yeah.
of. Maybe somebody else can, but
I'd,
I don't
I'd,
know.
I'd
There's
feel
probably
like
something out there, but being out west would just
yeah, the West is it's a unique spot.
go ahead.
But I mean, I would argue that there's, being out here and even talking to my wife, like, there's a lot of correlations. I mean, fortunately, we're blessed enough to have some land. You can go out and like tend to the stuff, and just there's a peacefulness to it. I mean, I work up in Cincinnati, and like, have the hustle and bustle of the city, but it's so nice to come back here where it's quiet, and there's just a simplicity of just like, all right, hey, like, we're going out into the woods, and like we're going to do some, timber stand improvement, like clear out some invasive species or, like, hey, like what are we gonna do for this area? Even just fixing up stuff and there's just a manual labor portion of it that, I very much enjoyed. And I'd say it takes me back to being at Lost Valley where it was like, yeah, like you have this place and you got things are always falling apart, whether it's like a tractor or, horses breaking down fence posts or, you got to fix this or that. And there's just like working with your hands and like a peacefulness of it where, there's a part of me that feels at home here. And I'd strictly correlate
Yeah.
that to like my time at Lost Valley. And I'd say there's a little more of a correlation, but not as much as, if you're in the middle of the woods, you're out west and it looks a little different, but I'd say there's some similarities.
How has the adjustment been for you? Because what, you're a little over a year now that you've been here
Hmm.
in Indiana, like moved in?
Yeah, yeah.
How's
It's
it
been
been?
a
Do you
it's been good,
miss
man.
Colorado quite a bit? Like,
Oh
okay,
yeah, yeah. And I mean, there's stuff that I miss. Like
good.
we've gone back to visit family, and there's parts that of course, I'm like, God, it's always home, and it'll forever be home. But there's obviously like there's a lot of stuff that I go back, and I'm like, man, I like the traffic in around there. I mean, Colorado is just blowing up. I mean, it's turning in just like a destination spot. I mean, for good reason. I mean, you can't keep a good thing quiet for too long, and it's like everyone that moves out there, and I'm like, I can't necessarily blame you for wanting to be out there, and it's it's a sweet spot, but it's also gotten to a place to be a very expensive place to live too. With that, so there's a lot of just parts that come with that it's like, man, well, my wife and I are wanting to create a family, create a home ourselves, and it's like, man, it's hard to just get a house out here and be able to go do that, and so that there's a the adjustment's been good, and I've really enjoyed the the life out here. And one hard thing has just been just getting community, like anywhere, like just anytime you move to a new place that's unfamiliar, you don't really know anybody. It's hard to just meet people and meet quality people, and so I was, I felt very blessed to have gotten to met you and a lot of your crew, and it's been a really big answer to prayers of just meeting people. So
Yeah, it's crazy how God works. Yeah, I don't know about the
mm.
quality portion of meeting us, but you got you
Oh,
got something for now.
oh,
Well,
you got a
great,
fun
man.
brotherhood, man.
Yeah, no, I've been very blessed, and it's kind of neat. We all kind of have a niche, but we've connected on several levels with the outdoors. Then we didn't even hardly get into your Ironman, but Ryan always holds over me, guys, that he's done a full Ironman. I've only done a half, but hopefully here in
There's a
about a month I
difference.
can I could change that. But yeah,
Yeah, man.
there's always a yeah. When you do double of something, yes, there's a big difference.
Yeah. But hey, you'll
But
you'll get there, dude. You'll be on
man,
the other side.
so no, and
Can't
you've
wait for
kinda,
you.
in a sense, coached me, and I could see you would be a good guide because you ask the right questions. I feel like, you've challenged me a couple times, and, I feel like you would be a good teacher in a sense. So I think you do have a gift for teaching.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And I was fortunate enough in my training too to have a lot of wise people around me who, I mean, I feel like a somewhat of an imposter, even just talking with you and your experience. I'm like, I've just done one Ironman, and it's not like I've like got the answer for everything, but I know I've had, like I said, just people who've asked me similar questions, and I'm like, have you thought through this? And then having gone through it myself, I'm like, man, like I really maybe should have focused in a little bit more on this or that, or like I'm glad that they pushed me to be like, hey, what does the course look like? And like look at the court and like try to like envision yourself on it. Like, okay, you're in transition, you're going to here, and kind of playing through that. So when you do get to that moment, you're like, okay, this either is playing out similar or not at all like I planned. Because I mean, is you probably experience in even your half. Like you set a plan and it doesn't go to plan. Like there's gonna be some sort of wrench thrown into the system and you're gonna have to overcome it. And I'd say that's probably the constant that's gonna be for anyone's race is like you're gonna be dealt a card and it's not going to be the way you planned, but then how are you getting through it? Whether it's a flat tire, I had a buddy, he lost both of his water bottles. They full bottle rocket out the back of his uh or no, I think the his bottle cage fell off. So then he just didn't have those bottles. And so he was then going
Yeah.
on his ride and he's like, I've got one bottle. Like, how am I gonna? And I'm like, that was his battle that he had to then work through. Like, okay, how do I get my nutrition? And like now I wasn't planning on depending on aid stations, but now I have to. Like, you have to throttle it back. Like,
Yep.
I'm sure you'll have yours, and I'd
I
love
had to
to
happen.
hear how you overcome it.
Yeah, I had that happen to a buddy, yeah, and he didn't do as well due to not having his, niche of hydration, but
Hmm.
luckily, man, we've got some rough roads around here, and I've tried that out, and it hasn't fell out yet, and just like before we go out west, man, we shake down our bows, make sure everything's tight, I'm gonna treat it the same way. This, you can cross over with everything you've done in
Oh
life
yeah.
and kinda the lessons you've learned and picked up along the way, but I guess we are kind of a hunting podcast, or I guess
Yeah.
this one. And, we've talked about a lot of things and we've got a lot of fishermen. I knew you were a guide and just, everybody can relate to that's just such a crazy story. But I guess hunting wise, did you do much hunting in Colorado or did hunting kind of start when you got back here?
I'd say hunting really started once I come back here. I mean, I had friends in college that, I would go on hunting trips with, and being out at that dude ranch, we get some landowner tags, and I'd either go by myself or go with some buddies, and it was fun where, I mean, we had the horses as an option. So, if you could, we could ride out and then kind of tie up your horse and then, stalk from there, which is nice. And then if you ended up shooting an elk or a deer or something, you could pack it out with the horses, which is really nice. Not having to, because I mean, they're never going to die and, on like right next to a road. That's going to be like the bottom of this ravine that's in a canyon that's like covered in timber. And you're like, sweet. So, this is not ideal. And having that was really nice. But yeah, I mean, didn't have too much hunting other than that, and it's, I guess, somewhat surprising because come from, I'd say, a hunting background. Like my family, the Jonases, there's a some it's not as well known anymore, but Jonas Brothers, not the band, but they're taxidermists. Jonas Brothers Taxidermy is a pretty big name in the taxidermy world, and that's my family, and my it was my great grandfather Coleman Jonas, who's actually my middle name's after him. He moved here in like 190 or moved to Colorado in 1907 and ended up starting the taxidermy business, and they're pretty big. And kind of all started from there, and my
You just keep
grandfather was kind
dropping
of the
stuff on me, man. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. My grandfather was kind of the last of the the business before they kind of got bought out, but they still hold a lot of
did you ever
patents.
do any taxidermy?
No, never did any taxidermy. That was never, like I said, I
Okay.
mean,
I thought you
it's been cool, but no, never really, I
yeah,
guess, got into
that's
that
neat,
side.
man.
Yeah, I've had that as my background. My dad, he
Yeah, well,
he hunted a whole bunch, so but he chose fly fishing with me. It's kind of where all that started, but excited to get into it,
I need
get
to
into family
to
heritage.
I need to get with you, and we've got some other connections too, but, I've got, like, 6 or 7 points in Colorado, and I think in, like, 2028, they're gonna do away with the point system and such, so we may
Really?
cash in either this year or next year and see if you have any areas or know anybody that could point us in the right direction. I haven't hunted Colorado in a long time, and dad, he has more recently kinda has a spot, but, doesn't hurt
Yeah.
to try something else, and we take the mules out there, so obviously, if it's deep, we could have the advantage, but we'll have to get
Oh,
together on
yeah.
that and see if you have any pointers or anybody that could point us in the right
Oh, yeah.
direction.
Yeah, definitely have some
Okay.
resources for you. What are you trying to go for?
It'd be elk. I think I
Nice,
just have points for elk in Colorado. Now Wyoming is
nice.
was kind of our primary state. I've got mule deer, elk, and antelope in Wyoming, but for Colorado, I just have elk. I think I have 6 or
Yeah,
7, so nothing too crazy, but it's enough to get a decent area, hopefully, maybe.
right. Yeah, let's gotta see. It's the lottery. Just fingers crossed and see if it happens. That'd be cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see. We're gonna go regardless somewhere. We've been
Oh, yeah.
fortunate enough to go somewhere every year, but, maybe get somewhere with a little bit higher odds, but, yeah, man, what else? I wanted to go through all of that, your kind of adjustment back here. We've kinda talked about the past real quick because we usually keep these around an hour. What's, uh what's the future? What are you looking into next? Are you looking at another race? I know you talked about family.
Mm.
Do you wanna get a couple horses back your I know you guys just bought a house.
Uh-huh.
What's the next step? What's the plan?
Um, yeah, next plan. I don't know if I have a race planned. Really, I mean, I know we've talked about doing some sprints, but another like big Ironman, some of that caliber isn't at least in the cards in the near future. Want to, just buying a house, getting with the wife here, and would love to kind of expand our family and I'd say like settle down a little bit, but kind of start that chapter, which should be something we're both talking about and really looking forward to. And so it's some kind of a just a main focus on the personal side. And I know, I mean, I'm just also getting real excited about turkey season here coming up in like 3-ish weeks or 4 weeks. Like that's
Yeah?
yeah, oh man, yeah. I shot my first turkey last year, and that was like I was I was over the moon, man. That was fun stuff right
Well,
there.
good, man.
And hoping to get I'd like to get
Yeah.
another saltwater fishing trip on the books at some point too. Trying to schedule something there, whether it's Texas or somewhere tropical to go hunt some fish, whether it's bonefish or maybe a GT or some reds, who knows? It's a permit fun.
Okay.
Check off another permit in the book would
Right
be
on, man.
would be another sweet one. Kind of,
Yeah,
I
you
guess near
married
future
into,
stuff.
from my understanding, a good family for hunting because I think your wife's, dad, he has a lot of property, and they go on a lot of big
Mhm.
hunting trips, so you'll have a lot of opportunity from the sound of it, but,
Oh yeah,
then kinda my friend group, they're big into hunting, and so am I, so anything we can do to help out and, you know,
oh man.
uh, I always try to I need to do better about getting hunts in with friends. I get a little something overtakes me come October, man. I get really driven and and I just, I'm after a
You
big one,
just
but I've got to do better at taking new people and sharing the love a little bit. So maybe I can take you
get
in,
a little
and
laser
it's
focused
the
and
camaraderie's good.
I don't know, it's
Yeah,
unique as
dude.
I've come to learn it's unique for everyone. So it's
Yeah.
it's whatever
Yeah, my
experience, man. Like, what are
marriage
you looking for?
struggles and I'm
Oh,
just
oh
teasing.
man,
Somebody asks,
I've
What's your marriage look like during the rut?" And somebody's like, next question."
next
But no,
question.
my wife she does great. Even with this Ironman training, I couldn't do half the stuff I do. God really delivered me a good one, because a lot of them couldn't put
It's
up with
awesome,
me. And I'm
man.
sure same with you. When you
Yeah,
chase these big goals and have these hobbies, man, you have to have a partner that's on board. So I've
yeah,
been very blessed with that.
yeah. It's cool, but yeah,
Well, dude, I uh I know there's a lot more, but I don't want to keep you too
uh,
long. We're kind of doing this Sunday before
yeah,
church,
great,
so
man.
um just really neat, man. I really appreciate you coming on. It's just a great
Yeah,
story.
thanks for
Hopefully the
having me, man.
listeners get something out of that and just yeah, maybe down the road we can have you on for another one because I know there's some more gems in there. I'm sure there's something else you're not
Oh, yeah,
telling me, but I'll get it out of you at
I'm
some
sure.
point.
Yeah, pride out of me.
But
Yeah, man.
yeah,
It's been great.
right on, man.
Thanks for having me,
Well,
man.
appreciate you. Yeah, appreciate you coming on. Thank you guys for listening. Uh, we'll see you guys next week with a Bible study, and then trying to line some other stuff up with turkey hunting and such. I will have the race done before turkey season, so hopefully I'll have some hunting stories. And
It's
I've reached
good
out
timing
and
on
I want to
there,
get
you know?
there's some guys that are local. Yeah, yeah, I kind of did that on purpose. So, but all right, guys. Well, Ryan, really appreciate you, man. Thank you guys all
Yeah,
for
thank
listening.
you.
We'll see you next
Yeah,
week.
man. See ya.